Hello, Morley Victoria School. My name is Adam and I work at Leeds University with Arthur's mum. Hi, Arthur. I understand that in the last few weeks you've been learning about Antarctica and that you've got some questions about it. Well, you've come to the right place because when I'm not at the university, I work in Antarctica. And I've received some questions into my Antarctic mailbag, so let's take a delve in and see what you want to know. So the first question from the mailbag is, how do I get to Antarctica? Which is a good place to start, isn't it? So we've got a map of the world there. There is Britain, where we are at the moment, and I wanted to get to a place called Rothera, which is in Antarctica down there right at the bottom of the map. So the first part of the journey is just in a fairly normal plane, really. You fly from Britain to South America, to the capital of Chile, which is Santiago. And then you fly a little further, right down to the southern tip of South America, to a place called Punta Arenas. And that's where the plane changes. So this is the plane that will then take you from Punta Arenas into Antarctica. That's called a Dash 7. And there's Rothera Base. Looks quite snowy in Antarctica, doesn't it? You can see that there's some icebergs in the bay there. But it has a runway where that plane can land, and so you spend some time in Rothera. But then when you go out into the field to do your work, you jump in this plane, which is a much smaller one. And that's called a Twin Otter, and you can see it's got skis instead of wheels, so it can land and take off on the snow. So on to question two, and question two is, did we see icebergs? Well, yes we did. I showed you in the photo before that there were some icebergs around Rothera, and here's a picture of an iceberg that I took. So you can see that tilted block there is an iceberg in the sea next to Rothera. It's maybe 15 meters high, so the size of a small house, which is pretty big. But I've also seen much bigger icebergs. Look at these ones, for example. These are actually in Greenland in the north and not in Antarctica in the south. But you might be able to see that there's a small boat in that picture. It's very small, and that's because the icebergs are massive. They're much bigger than the boat, so they're easily 100 meters high. But look at this one. This is an Antarctic iceberg taken from a plane, and you can see that crack going through it. Well, that whole picture is basically iceberg. So this one's really enormous. You can't even see the end of it. That's how big it is. So icebergs can be really massive. Okay, question three, and question three is, where did we sleep? So when the plane has dropped us off, we unload it and we take out a whole load of tents. So the first job is to put the tents up, and they are an example of the tents that we sleep in. My tent is the furthest one back there, so I shared that one with two of my friends, and that was our home for 5 or 6 weeks on the ice. We moved it around from camp to camp, and we get pretty quick at putting the tent up by the end of the trip there. We also eat in the tent, so this is our kitchen tent, if you like. So you can see some of my friends there. The guy in the back is Al, and he has just made a wonderful dinner of chili, so that was very nice. Okay, on to question four, and question four is, what did we eat and drink? Well, that's good. Following on from the kitchen tent and all this talk of chili, I was kind of getting hungry. What we eat is a whole lot of dried stuff, and I've got a bag of things here from the Antarctic trip. So what's on the menu? We have freeze-dried salmon, lovely. So what you do is you got this, and you warm up some water, and you peel open this sachet, and you pour the water in, you mix it around, and then you've got a nice warm meal waiting for you. What else have we got? We've got muesli for breakfast. So there you go. What you do here is you get some water, you mix up some milk, add that in, and you have breakfast in a bag. The other thing that you can do in Antarctica, because it's cold and you need to keep your energy up, you can eat a lot of chocolate. So we have a lot of chocolate supplies. I have to say the food isn't wonderful, but it's okay and you get used to it. You find oftentimes people bring along a lot of extra spices so that they can put a bit of hot sauce into their food and spice it up a bit. What do we drink? We drink a lot of water. You melt the snow because there's no liquid water around, and you certainly can't turn a tap on. But you melt the snow, and then you've got your water for the day. So then you can, you can have a cup of tea, you can have a coffee, or you can just drink the water as it is. So you're basically drinking the snow around you. So next up is how did I survive? Well, partly by eating lots and lots of chocolate, but also by trying to stay as warm as possible. And that means wearing lots and lots of different layers of clothes. So underneath it all, you might be just wearing a t-shirt like this one, but then over the top you'll have quite a thick jumper to put on. And over the top of that, you will then wear what we call a down jacket, which is a very thick jacket, and it contains feathers, so it's like having the blanket off your bed over your back. But you'll need something to keep the wind out, so you have another jacket to wear, like this one here. And then when you've got all of that on, you might be ready to brave the Antarctic wind, but you're also going to need a fairly thick pair of gloves, and you're going to need a nice woolly hat. But I think my favourite piece of equipment is these. These are really, really dark sunglasses. So if I just put those on, it's because it's very, very bright in Antarctica, and if you're not careful, you can get snowblind by the amount of light that's reflecting off the snow. So these are really the essential bit of kit, but altogether, I think I'll now survive. Next question, did I pack an extra pair of socks? Well, of course, you need to keep your feet warm as well. And what you can see here is the boots that my friend Heidi is wearing. So yeah, we wear lots and lots of socks, but also we get these really massive boots. And so something like these, so you can see they've got a nice fur lining in there. So yeah, they'll keep your feet nice and warm. I also say we did pack lots and lots of socks because when you're out there you can't have a shower, and so your socks tend to get a little bit smelly. So if you can change your socks every now and again, you're doing everybody a favour. Now you'll notice that I've lifted my glasses up so I can see you better and so I can read the questions better. So question 6 is, exactly how cold was it? Well, just like anywhere, there are some days when it's a little bit warmer and some days when it's a little cooler, but it was always below 0 when we were there. But that means that sometimes you can go out in slightly less clothes, sometimes you really need to be wearing the full stuff. Now I have to say, Antarctica, don't get me wrong, it was cold, and it was cold enough that if you didn't sleep with your toothpaste in your sleeping bag or with your sun lotion in your sleeping bag, when you woke up in the morning it would be frozen and it would be no good to anybody. But the coldest that I've actually experienced is when working in the North Pole, so in the Northern Arctic. And so you can see here my beard has frozen up just because it's so cold. So that was probably temperatures around -20, -30, so much colder than what you get here in Britain. And the last question in the mailbag is, what animals did we see? So the classic animal for Antarctica is obviously the penguin. We weren't too close to any big penguin colonies like what you might see on the TV, but every now and again there would be penguins that would come close to the base. And so this is a picture I took of a particular penguin playing around and sliding on the snow. He's called an Adelie penguin. Penguins are fishing. They're trying to get fish out of the sea, and where you get fish you also get other seabirds. So this is a kelp gull. Also interested in fish are elephant seals. So these were a couple of seals that were fighting around the base, and here is me doing my best impression of an elephant seal. So lots of nice animals to see as well. So there you go, there's your questions answered. I really hope that you enjoyed this little Antarctic adventure together. I think it's fantastic that all of you are so interested in ice in Antarctica, because if the ice is going to stick around, it needs people to be looking out for it. So thanks very much for your interest, and maybe I'll see you around. Bye now.